Alright, let's get our RadioLink A560 3D plane in the air. I have it in full stabilization mode. Got very little wind out here. That makes it nice. Okay, I'll just make sure I got my rockers in the right position. Launching. Takes right off, stabilization mode. Shouldn't be any restriction on the rudder. Doesn't seem to be. Okay, so let's see here. That is full left aileron. That is full right aileron. Looks like I got more right than left. Maybe torque, I don't know. Bring it back down. Alright, so we are now in acrobat mode. What I found with the other 3D plane that I've flown before is that 3D planes don't like to fly real fast, you know? Vertical. Ooh, yeah. That has got plenty of power, guys. Let me put this back in. Let me put this back in stabilization mode for a minute. Make sure that I set my timer. I didn't. Okay. I wanted to make sure that I set my timer. I find it easier to turn these using the rudder mostly, because the ailerons have so much movement on them. Look at that. One thing that I always found with these 3D planes is that they are so graceful if you're good on the controls. Now, I'm not a 3D pilot, and I'm not used to this form factor. I am not used to this form factor of transmitter at all. But that's not too bad. Look at that. Effortless, guys. This thing has a ton of power. Absolute ton of power. I figured it would with that 8x3/8 prop and this motor on a 2S. I mean, how often do you see power like that on a 2S? This is pulling vertically with no problem whatsoever. Isn't that awesome? Do a little rudder turn. That is so maneuverable. As I said, it has big control surfaces and big movement on the control surfaces. Rudder, rudder, rudder turn. Look at that. That is effortless. Ton of power. Do a stall turn. Oh, yeah. These 3D planes are made for stall turns. Isn't that awesome? Okay, so one thing I want to test, I put it back in stabilization mode. I want to test the vertical mode on it. I've never seen the vertical mode on this before. Okay, ready? It's in vertical mode. Look at that. It is hovering. Well, I got to give it some throttle. It is hovering all by itself. Okay, I just switched it back into horizontal mode again. Let's bring it back down. I want to try that again. That is absolutely awesome. I have never tested that on the Byme gyro before. That vertical mode. Man, I can hover it like a pro with the vertical mode on this gyro. Okay, you ready? Look at that. All you got to do is manage the throttle. All you got to do is manage the throttle. Look at that. That is awesome. Vertical mode. Okay, let's switch it back into horizontal mode. Look at that. That transitions beautifully. I have never done that before, guys. That is absolutely awesome. Yeah, this is effortless. This is just, it's got so much power, and it's floaty. You know, these 3D planes, like I said, they don't like to fly fast. Oh, I guess it would help if I wasn't in stabilization mode anymore. Okay, now we're in acro mode again. Horizontal acro mode. Forgot to switch it back out. Well, look at that. That is effortless. Look at that spin around. And I am not a 3D pilot. I am not a 3D pilot. Look at that. I can't believe that I'm able to fly it this well with this little tiny transmitter. I think I would like a little more expo on the ailerons. Look at that full vertical. That is fantastic, guys. That is. I wish all factory planes would come with what I would call adequate power for me. I like having a lot of power on my plane. Keeps me out of trouble. Sometimes it gets me in trouble. Most of the time, look at that. Most of the time, it keeps me out of trouble. Look at that spin around with the rudder. What do you guys think of that? Man, that has got some power. And this foam should make it very, very durable. "3D planes are made for stall turns." Look at that. That is too cool. Oh, there's my timer already? Alright, we gotta do another stall turn. There we go. Alright, let me turn that off. Put it back into stabilization mode. And I'll do a circuit here. I want to see if I can bring in and land it on this little dirt lane. That is the direction of the wind. Okay, let's see here. Been a while since I landed a 3D plane, guys. I don't know. Get off the throttle too much. They're kind of floaty, but oh, there we go. All right. I missed the lane. But let me put it back in manual mode. That has a ton of power. And, you know, this is my first time out with it. And I am definitely not used to using one of these little small form factor transmitters. But that worked out pretty well, I think. And that vertical mode is just awesome, isn't it? That is something else. I mean, it basically, as long as you manage the throttle, it pretty much hovers itself. I mean, that's awesome. That's the best hover I've ever had on a 3D plane. But fantastic power. Like I said, I think they put high quality components in this plane all the way around, from the motor to the ESC to the servos to the Byme-A gyro to the receiver. It's all good. And it's a blast to fly. Now, I like having a 3D plane that I can use as a trainer like this one, because my philosophy on 3D planes, if you're really good with them, they are one of the most graceful things I've seen in the air. Also, I think if you can get competent with a 3D plane, I think it helps your skills with non-3D planes as well, because, I mean, you're doing all kinds of aerobatics with this all the time. And it can do them slowly, it can do them very, very quickly. But the stall turns, the loops, the split S maneuvers, pulling vertical, It's awesome. It handled very, very well. And like I said, I found that 3D planes don't like to fly fast. So I do all that at cruising speed. Of course, I put in a lot of throttle when I'm doing maneuvers, but when I'm just moving around through the air, it's just at cruising speed until I need to throttle. So absolutely fantastic. I want to thank RadioLink again for sending this for review. I'm going to increase my expo on the ailerons a bit before I bring it back out again. The rudder, the elevator felt fine. The ailerons felt a little twitchy with the stock setup. So I'm going to increase the expo on those to soften them up a bit at mid-stick. And then I'll bring it back out and we'll fly it with the stock transmitter again before I bring it out and fly it with the OpenTX transmitter, because you can bind up to this with an OpenTX transmitter with the 4-in-1 protocol. So in a couple of flights I'll be programming it into my TX16S, and I'll be bringing it back out and putting it in the air with that transmitter. I'm a lot more comfortable with that transmitter than I am with one of these small form factors, because I did not grow up with a game system of any kind, so I'm not used to this form factor of controller. So, but otherwise, it flew great. You know, I don't have any complaints about it. It's just getting it tuned up a little bit. But anyway, stay tuned for the next flight demonstration on this plane. It's a pretty awesome little 3D plane, and it comes with everything you need. So I will go ahead and meet you back at the hangar, and we will do the disassembly on this plane and pack it back into that really nice molded foam and nylon case that comes with this plane. So I'll see you back at the hangar.
Okay, well, wasn't that awesome? You believe how much power this thing has? I launched it at 60% throttle and it just zoomed out of my hand. So I would say that probably around 50% throttle for a hand launch is plenty for the power system on this plane. I was very impressed with the way this pulled vertical. I was very impressed with the vertical stabilization mode. That is pretty slick. I've never used that on the Byme-A gyro until now, but that is a lot of fun. It hovers itself. But anyway, I'm going to bring the camera in here. We'll go through the disassembly and repacking into that nice foam case they've got with the outer nylon shell. So I'll see you in a minute. And and I want to tell you, I've got one of these little tools. It came with one of those little tiny micro quadcopters that I got a long time ago, and it's one of those prop remover tools. It's just got a little U cut out in the end of it. It's bent up a little bit. Well, I found that these little tools work really great for popping open those plastic clevises. It's a lot easier for me to use a tool like this than try and use my fingers to separate it. This is a really handy little tool. Now, I couldn't find the tiny one like this. I found a larger one, and I got a link to it in the show notes. It's a little bigger and a little heavier duty than this one, and I've used one like it as well. I like the tiny one a little bit better, but the larger one works just about as well as this one does. But it makes it a lot easier to pop open those plastic clevises, and on this one, when you disassemble it, you've got quite a few of those to pop open. And I'm less likely to damage the clevis using one of these tools than my fingers. So something you might want to think about. I'll probably go ahead and post the link to this on our Facebook page too. It's one of those little needful tools that you can keep in your toolkit. I have one of these packed in my bag every time I go out, and just in case I need to pop open a clevis, adjust the linkage, and then connect it again. Very, very handy. All right, I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to do my best to keep this in the camera frame. The first thing we're going to do is take off our prop and our retaining O-ring there, and let's flip it over, and let's go ahead and take out our landing gear, and just got to spread those a little bit. There we go. Okay, so Where do we want to start? Let's start here on the tail. See how much easier it makes it separating those with that little tool. Okay, so we've got that separated. We need to separate our aileron linkage too. And again, that just makes it a lot easier for me. Okay, so the only linkage that we're going to have remaining is going to be our linkage on the rudder. Everything else we are going to pop off. There we go. So our ailerons are off, and we need our elevator control linkage removed. Man, that tool just makes it so much easier, guys. I would definitely get one of these, put in your kit. Look at that. It makes short work of it. All right, I'm gonna move these back here out of the way. Let me see, move the elevator linkage back, move that back. Okay, so now we need to flip it over and take care of the supports on our vertical stabilizer on top. Again, I'm just using that tool, pop them open. And on the other side, isn't that slick? Who would have thought that a prop remover would work that well? Okay, so I think we've got all of our linkages disconnected. All right, so now let's go ahead and take off our button that holds on our horizontal stabilizer. There's one half. There's the other half. So the horizontal stabilizer's out, and then we just have the 4 buttons. We just have the 4 buttons here on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's get all of our buttons together here. Alright, and now we should just be able to, I'm just going to push these buttons up from the bottom a little bit so that they clear the bottom of the fuselage. Okay, and then it just pulls the wing up with it, and then just, you know, push those down a little bit through the wing. There we go. Okay, so our wing is out. We can put this little top portion of the fuselage back in. We don't need to leave it out. Okay. All right, that should do that. Okay, so I've got my case up here, so let's go ahead and put our transmitter back in place. Alright, the transmitter's in. Pull out my documentation. I got my little bag of goodies here. Alright, I'm going to put my clevises in there. I'm going to put my buttons in there. My O-ring for the prop. And I'm also going to put my little handy dandy clevis removal tool in there because I've got 2 or 3 of those. Okay, so first thing we want to do is let's put in our wing. Move this stuff out of the way. Put in our wing. And I put the wing in upside down so that the control horns are not, you know, causing a bend in it. You don't want to do that. All right, and then I'm going to take my horizontal stabilizers, and I'm just going to put those in here, and I'm putting this little raised control horn here, you know, where the support connects to. I'm putting that right here in the channel of the wing so that it sets flat against the wing. Okay, so let me try and remember how all this goes in here. I think that'll work. I think I'm going to go ahead and put my bag of goodies here on top of the wing, and I'll put my prop up on top. So let's put the second layer back in. I guess I should have waited before I put my transmitter in. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put our transmitter back in. Let's go ahead and put in our power cord for our charger. Put our charger in. Now let's put in our fuselage. Get our strap out of the way. One thing I like to do with when I put the fuselage in, to make sure that you're holding all your control rods, put those to the back so that they're out of the way. Make sure that everything is out of the way there before you put in. One thing I like to do is bring the rudder up when I put the fuselage in so it's not in the way. Okay, so now our fuselage is laying flat. I'm going to go ahead. I probably should have put the landing gear in with the wing, but I'm going to go ahead and put it up here right now. I'm going to put my prop in here. I'm going to put my documentation on top of it. I'm going to put my strap in here. That's not exactly the way it goes back together, but I think that will do it. Okay, so all nice and neat and in its place. All right, so now you're ready to unpack it and reassemble it and get ready to fly it again. Okay, so that is an awesome case. I really like this. It's I'm surprised that the quality of the stuff that you get with this plane, including this case. That's pretty awesome. All right, guys. So I had a lot of fun out there today. That 3D plane is a lot of fun to fly. It has a lot of really cool features. It has a ton of power. It's extremely aerobatic, as you saw. I'm not a 3D pilot, but I think it went pretty well out there today. I'm going to increase, as I stated, I'm going to increase the expo on my ailerons so they're not quite so twitchy with that little tiny transmitter, and that will be a lot more comfortable for me. So watch for the next flight session out there with it after I get the expo adjusted on the ailerons. We'll take it back out and fly it again with the stock transmitter, and then we'll take it out with the TX16S. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the air.